Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Rokha, Kwadash, Ma'amath. I want to give a double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. I want to give a double honors to my elder apostle, Aharawan Banyasharala of the Lions Den Camp, here in Jacksonville, Florida. Shalom to the sincere Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Harab Ban Yasharala, coming out of the Lions Den Camp of Yasharala here in Jacksonville, Florida. And now today I'll be coming out a lesson. The title of this lesson is The Chariots Are of the Lord. And it is based on this article right here. And this guy here with the black, the title of this, you see the title of this article. So let's get into it. And it says here, it says, a Catholic priest and exorcist who has encountered demons firsthand. Revealed a chilling experience that led him to believe that the UFOs and or chariots are actually the work of the devil. Wow. Now, this will be the fourth time that I'm doing this because for some reason, some magical reason, my screen recorder keep cutting off magically. Well, I've never ever had that problem before. All of a sudden, magically, it wants to cut off now. I wonder why. Anyways, let's continue. But this guy here, this guy right here, him, he says the chariots are the work of the devil. If you read the scriptures, the chariots are throughout the scriptures. Heck, the Lord even led the children of Israel out of Egypt. Well, should I say through the wilderness with a chariot, providing light and shade. We're going to get that. But this guy here, he says the chariots are the work of the devil. So the devil now, it's the spiritual demon, so like the spiritual counterpart, Shaitan, can now make chariots appear. Didn't know he had that much power. I thought he operated under the power of the Heavenly Father himself, since it was the Lord that made him. Well, you don't understand these things if you're not in the scriptures. If you don't have the Spirit of the Lord, you don't have these understandings. But let's continue. Anyways, it says Carlos Martins. I ain't saying that word right there. It's only one Father, and that's Yahweh. It says Carlos Martins, an Ontario priest who performed exorcisms around the world, believes the UFO phenomenon is a part of a larger spiritual deception designed to undermine Christianity and cast doubt upon the Bible. No, it is not. If you know anything about the scriptures, you would know that the chariots are in the scriptures. See what it is that the Lord is allowing these chariots to pop up. It is undoing all the lies and the tomfoolery and the philosophies and the beliefs and the doctrines of man. So no, it's not casting doubt. The fact that we see the chariots are proof of the truth, not proof of a lie or proof of Satan. Let's continue. This priest, or the priest, said a longtime friend who converted to Christianity once witnessed a gigantic spacecraft and or chariot hovering slightly over a suburban park before it shot away instantly. Have we not seen chariots do that before? Show themselves and then just jet away at almost the speed of light or at the speed of light. So fast you can't even do anything. You can't catch it. It says the object was allegedly enormous, or so enormous that the two witnesses could see the details on the surface, and it estimated to be many football fields in size. So that's a big old chariot. Despite deciding And I'm kind of, because I done, this is the fourth time I done did this, so I'm going to be kind of editing and running through it, kind of, you know what I'm saying? So I ain't going to be hitting every word. But despite the sighting, the extraordinary sighting, because it is very extraordinary to see a chariot, you know, the townspeople or the town did not report or notice the object in the local news or in any newspapers in said town. But let's continue. This is after converting, years later after converting to Christianity, Martin's friend came to believe that the sighting had not been alien or not been an alien craft at all, but a supernatural illusion sent by the devil. Wow. It's a supernatural illusion sent by Satan. He can send visions of chariots to people. Can you rectify that with the scriptures? Because every time I've read the scriptures and a chariot was seen, it was sent of the Lord, Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai. It was not sent of the devil. Lion Mother Hubbard. The chariots are of the Lord. The chariots have angels in them, and they look like men. Continuing. It says, speaking to the Daily Mail, Martin said that Satan could use belief in extraterrestrial civilizations to create a competing account to Christian scripture and weaken belief in divine revelation. The fact that you see a chariot, that is divine. It's a celestial body, vehicle. Whatever word, well, I ain't gonna say whatever word you want to use, but the chariots are of the Lord, man. Just point blank, period. And it does not weaken belief in the scriptures. People don't understand that the chariots are in the scriptures because they don't have the spirit, so they can't discern it. They don't know what it says. It's spoke. The scriptures speak about chariots in parabolic form, where it uses descriptions and or metaphors to explain, to describe, to put an image in your mind to make you think. It is not of the devil. Anyways, let's continue. And I'm gonna be in Salakia if I'm doing this. It doesn't stop too many times, so now I'm checking it. It says he also claimed modern UFO encounters, particularly alien abduction stories, often mirror psychological and physical torment seen during cases of alleged demon possession. Yeah. Look at this picture though. You see this picture of him? He got on all black. What is that sign you see on this lapel? Right on there. What is that sign? What is that? That ain't a righteous sign. But let's continue. Let's go ahead and continue. It says if the devil brings it about, he can put it into the human imagination. That extraterrestrial life, that there are civilizations out there, and he can cause doubt in the scriptures. You can tell these do not have the spirit of the Lord. They don't got it. It's not in them. Because if it was in them, they would know that chariots are in the scriptures. Let's continue, man. Let's continue. It says what he's done then is set up a competing account to Christian scripture. No, he did not. He did not. The fact that we see chariots, or fact that the scriptures are true, not doubt being so. I seen a chariot. I seen it. So what? So why does the but? It does. But most people are carnal men. So guess what? They can't perceive what is spiritual. But again, it says what he's done is set up. He's talking about Satan now, the devil. It set up a competing account to the Christian scriptures, something that Judeo-Christianity or Christian scriptures cannot account for. Oh, we finna account for them. We finna account for them. We finna account for a handful of them. The chariots are in the scriptures. They are explained or described parabolically, metaphorically. And this devil is saying that the devil uses that to cause people to believe less in the scriptures and weaken their faith. It's weakening the lies that has been put on this earth by this devil. Well, let's continue. I don't trust this mother. Let's continue. It says the idea that UFOs have demonic origins have gained traction in some conservative religious circles. Vice President J.D. Vance said on a podcast on March 1st that he doesn't think they're aliens. He thinks they're demons. They're angels in chariots. They're the angels, and they're gonna come do the bidding of the Lord. But of course, when you're a demon and when you're a devil and you're doing wicked and evil, anything that you see that you don't understand, you think it's wicked and evil. That's what these devils do not understand. And guess what? These chariots finna come through and ooh wee. But this right here, this is where it starts to act up and starts to stop, and I have to redo it again. Let me check. Okay. Anyways, this part right here, it says Martins converted from atheism to Christianity while studying as an undergraduate, and says one of his closest friends experienced the encounter that radically shaped his understanding of the UFOs and or chariots. So this nigga didn't even experience it himself. He heard somebody else talking about it that he knew, and it shaped what he think about it. And you got to think, this nigga was an atheist. Salakia, I didn't mean to say the N word twice, but he was an atheist. So you know how you got to be a special kind of stupid to not believe in anything, and then convert to being an imbecile. And become even more stupid. Let's continue. Yeah, this is the priest recalled. He said he had a friend who was a convert. He don't even know when this friend really truly converted, but let's keep on. They just said late teens or early 20s. He don't know, but they grew up in the same town. He says his friend was walking again with another friend, and they looked up and saw again an enormous chariot. I'm gonna say chariot because I'm speaking to the elect. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't, hopefully you are the elect if you watch this video. You know what I'm saying? But they looked up and they saw this giant chariot. And again, many football fields in length and in size. That's big. A football field is huge, man. Let's say you put 2, 3 either in front of each other or side by side. But that take up that's big, man. That's really big. But let's continue. And it said it started to stop round about right here, so you know what I'm saying. But it said the two men watched the craft, the chariot, what hovering silently overhead. Anyways, like I was saying, there goes that V formation. But let's continue. But again, it says Martin that they looked at it and it took off with unbelievable speed, darting away very quickly. You know what I'm saying? That's how the chariots do. That's how they move. But according to Martins, it says the most disturbing aspect of the encounter that no one else seemed to have witnessed the craft. Well, maybe because it wasn't for other people to witness. It was just for those two supposed friends, those unnamed friends, to see it. You know what I'm saying? It says, and again, there were no local newspapers or reports and emergencies indicating that anyone in the town saw it. So there you go. And he said his friend for years struggled to understand that. But then his friend, he said him and his friend talked about it and everything, after so long, his friend decided to say that, oh, it was no question that it was of the devil. Okay. Really. So the Lord can it's like the devil can make chariots of the Lord show up and appear before people and cause them to doubt the Bible, doubt the scriptures and everything else, right? You see the dots that they try to connect that just don't connect. But anyways, continuing, he says the alien, saying the chariots or encounters, alien encounter, they chariots. If you read the Bible, they chariots, and I'm gonna get some scriptures to prove that they are. And the Lord uses them. He explains them in parabolic sense. But let's continue. It says reports involving the UFO and alien encounters have increasingly appeared alongside exorcism cases. Don't let you not know it as it. And it's another this one right here is the most recent one, you know, that they were seeing now. He said my elder he did a video on this. Excuse me. But continue. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and exit up out of this right here so it don't stop no more, because you know this devil be trying to stop the truth from coming forward. But let's get some scriptures that speak about the chariots or supposed UFOs. And again, it's spoken about parabolically. So I'm not gonna read the rest of this. I'm just gonna chalk it up to jargon. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it didn't want you to see. That's where it kept stopping at when I was trying to do. But that right there. But let's continue. This guy right, we're gonna keep his face on that. He's the face of stupidity. But anyways, this is Exodus chapter 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 17. And it says, and it came to pass when Pharaoh had let the people go, that Yahweh led them not through the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. See, you know, but let's continue. Then I'll explain. It says, for Yahweh said, lest peradventure, perhaps or maybe, the people repent when they see war and they return to Egypt. So when the Lord led our people out of Egypt, to go through the land of the Philistines would have been a lot quicker. It would have been the quickest way, but the Lord was like, no, we're not going to do that, because the Philistines might raise up against our people, my people, and guess what? They repent and then want to run back to Egypt. So the Lord said, this is verse 18, he says, but Yahweh led the people about through the way of the wilderness of the Red Sea, and the children of Israel went up, harnessed out of the land of Egypt. So the Lord led our people through the Red Sea, which would cause Pharaoh and his people to think that he had us dead to rights or trapped. The Lord parted the sea and we walked across on dry land. Then when Pharaoh got his behind, and guess what? The Lord closed it back up and drowned him. Help Pharaoh and his army finish with all they living. But let's continue. And it says, and Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for he had straitly sworn the children of Israel, saying, surely, it's like you're saying, Yahweh surely will visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones away hence with you. So when they pass away, meaning take his bones and bury him, you know. But let's continue. It says, and they took their journey from Succoth and encamped in Etham, in the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord Yahweh went before them by day in a pillar of a cloud. This is talking about a chariot, a supposed UFO. It's just speaking in parabolic form. To lead them the way, and by night a pillar of fire, to give them light to go by day and night. So the Lord provided shade. That chariot that he was with provided shade and it provided light. This is an account of the chariots being in the scriptures, the supposed UFOs. Let's continue. Verse 22. It says, and he took not away the pillar of the cloud by day, nor the pillar of fire by night from before the people. So as long as our people was in the wilderness, going into the promised land, guess what? The Lord had that chariot there. So the chariots are of the Lord. Every time you see a chariot, suppose it is of the Lord. It is not of the devil. It is not of Satan. It is not of anything else other than this devil using Project Bluebeam. And you can bet your bottom dollar when he do use it, it ain't gonna be nothing like the Lord said it was gonna be coming in the scriptures. It ain't gonna be nothing like that. And people gonna fall for a hook, line, and sinker because they stupid. But let's continue. Let's go to Exodus 19. Another example of the chariots. Chariots, Salaki. Start at verse 3. It says, and when Moses went up unto Yahweh, and the Lord called him out of the mountain, saying, "Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob and tell the children of Israel." This talking about the children of Israel, the Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Americans, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, the house of Jacob, the house of Israel. That's what it's talking about, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of our people. Meaning Moses was given instructions and or commandments to tell our people, to teach our people, and to how to serve the Lord, how he wanted to be worshiped, how he wants to be served. He tells you in his scriptures, in his words, how you should worship him, how to worship him, the way he wants you to worship him. It's here in the Bible, in the Testament, the Old Testament. It's here. It's in the scriptures. It says, "You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, how I bear you up on eagle's wings and brought you out myself." So the Lord, we won't say rescue, because that's the word that came to my love, our people out of the land. He liberated our people out of the land of Egypt with a great rescue, a great liberation, powerful, magnificent, miraculous, mighty. He says, "Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my commandments, and ye shall have a particular treasure unto you will be, Salaki, you shall be a particular treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine." So the Lord created everything, it belonged to him. He said, if we do what we're supposed to do, be obedient and listen to him, we will be a peculiar people. Guess what? We still are those peculiar people. That's why everybody want to be us, but don't nobody want to go through what we went through. But they want to be everything we are. They want the talent, they want the skill, they want the flavor, they want the cool, they want the hype, they want all of it. But they ain't us. They not like us. But let's continue. It says, he says, "And ye shall be unto me." Anyways, like I was saying, they keep stopping. So I'm gonna put an actual picture of a chariot on here. So here we go. Back at Exodus chapter 19, verse 7, before it stopped. It says, "And Moses called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord spake." The Lord Yahweh commanded them. So he called the elders and told them what the Lord said. It says, "And all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord Yahweh hath spoken, we will do." And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. So our people agreed. And Moses went back and told the Lord, because But let's continue. And it says, "Then the Lord," verse 9, "And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, I come unto thee in a thick cloud." Again, a chariot, a UFO, but a chariot. I don't like calling it a UFO because it is not unidentified. It is very identified. It says again, "But I come to thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever." And Moses told the words of the told the words of the people unto the Lord. So the Lord was like, okay, well, I'm gonna visit in the cloud, i.e., a chariot, on the top of Mount Sinai or Mount Horeb. You want to get technical. So let's continue. I'm gonna jump down to verse 16. I ain't worrying about time now. The devil ain't want me to do that lesson with that on there. That's what that was. That's why he kept making it stop. Well, you can't stop the Lord Yahweh outside. You can't stop him. Anyways, verse 16. And it says, "And it came to pass on the third day in the morning, that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount." See, the Lord then came down in the chariot, "and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled." So they was afraid because it was really loud. It was really powerful. You ever heard a ship when they blow that horn? Well, just imagine that louder, more godly, more powerful, more holy, you know. But again, it's talking about a chariot, a supposed UFO, you know. let's continue. I'm gonna jump again to verse 18. It's and it says, and Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke. Okay. Because the Lord Yahweh descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. That just make me think about a fire enfolding itself. The chariot, it had much energy around it, man. It burnt the mount, it burnt the top of Mount Sinai, and it's still burnt to this day. It's still burnt. That's how you know it was real. Power, unbridled. But let's continue. Let's jump down to verse 20. It says, and the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount and called for Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. So the Lord came down in the chariot and called Moses up the mount to give him more instructions to instruct the people, our people, the Israelites. So chariots and or UFOs are in the Bible. They're just spoken in a parabolic form. Let's continue. Let's go to 2 Kings. More proof about the chariots. We can go from the Old Testament all the way to the New Testament, to the Apocrypha too, to prove that chariots, UFOs, are in the Bible. First time, all right, here we go. I'm gonna say 2 Kings. Come on, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? 2 Kings chapter 6, 15, verse 15. And I'm gonna start at verse 15. And it says, and let's see. Oh yeah, you know what? Well, verse 8, I'll summarize it. The king of Assyria, was making war against Israel and was taking counsel with his servants. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out how to trap Israel so that he could conquer them. But Elisha, uh, the Lord was revealing what the king was saying in his closed quarters, and then Elisha was telling the king about how to go and how to maneuver so that he wouldn't get caught up, basically. And the king was getting mad. The king of Assyria was getting mad, saying like, "Which one of y'all is for the king of Israel, man? Basically, who keep telling? Who was leaking information?" Because he was getting the slip. The king, he was getting the slip, and one of the servants of the king of Assyria pretty much let it be known, like, ain't none of us telling. It's that prophet Elijah. The Lord is telling him what you're saying in your secret bed chambers. He's letting them know, and he's warning the king of Israel at that time. Who's the king of Israel? Let me see. I can't. Let me see. Let me see. Who was the king of Israel at that time? Okay. Anyways, no, well, I'm gonna say never mind that, but let's continue the point. Anyways, let's continue. But nonetheless, Elisha was giving the king the heads up, and the king of Assyria couldn't really get his hands on Israel like that. So the king got mad, and then he went and sent for Elijah. But this is what happened. Let's start at verse 15. My point now. It says, and when the servant of the man of Yahweh was risen and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city, both with horses and chariots. He's talking about UFOs, chariots. And his servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? So his servant woke up every morning and seen all these other, so like the king of Assyria and their armies surrounded. And this is what Elisha, like you, said to him, verse 16. And he says, and he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And guess what? This was Elisha talking about what? The chariots, the UFOs, the angels in the vehicles, angels in the chariots. Verse 17, it says, And Elisha prayed and said, Yahweh, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord Yahweh opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So Elisha was protected of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And guess what it was? UFOs, chariots. Round about him, and he was surrounded. So every time there's been a chariot in the scripture, it was of the Lord. He sent it, not the devil, not Satan. They're not of Satan. They're of the Lord. Let's continue. Let's get another example. Let's go to Psalms chapter 68. Not Job, Psalms. Thank you. Move. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. The devil ain't want this lesson to come out. All I'm trying to do is prove the truth of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That chariots, UFOs are in the Bible. Anyways, Psalm 68 and verse 17. It says, The chariots of Yahweh are 20,000, even thousands of angels, and the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. So there you go. Every time you see a supposed UFO is really a chariot and it's an angel inside that chariot, piloting or driving or riding in that chariot. So yes, they are in the scriptures. Chariots or UFOs are in the scriptures all day long. We finna get some more examples. Let's go to Psalms 18. It's here all day. All you gotta do is read it. Well, it says 15, 17, 18. Here we go. Right here, 18, 9 and 10. It says, He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. Again, this is talking about a chariot. Talking about the Lord delivering. King David is basically a song, making a song about the Lord delivering him from his enemies. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. That's a chariot so big it come down, it's going to block the sun, so it's going to cast a shadow. It says, and he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind, meaning chariots are in the scriptures. UFOs are in the scriptures. All day long. It's just spoken parabolically or metaphorically, using a metaphor to describe something of how things may function and or move or how it looks. So let's continue. Okay, that was it on that one. Let's go back to 2 Kings. This time, chapter 2. More proof. Oh yeah. 9, verse 9. There we go. Another example of chariots or UFOs in the Bible. And this particular person, Elijah, we're going to say he was abducted. taken up by a UFO, and i.e. a chariot. Second Kings chapter 2, I'm going to start at verse 9. And it says, and it came to pass when they, Salakia, were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask Salakia, ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, when he is taken up by a chariot, by a UFO, it shall be so unto thee, but if not, it shall not be so. So it was like, if you see me, you're gonna get what you're looking for. You're gonna get that double portion. But if you don't see it happen, I mean, it wasn't meant to happen for you. But let's continue. Verse 11. It says, and it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire, a UFO, and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. Chariot, a UFO. It separated Elisha and Elijah, and it took up Elijah and left Elisha, and Elijah's mantle came down and fell upon Elisha, and he got that double portion that he was looking for. Chariots in the Bible, UFOs in the Bible. You don't think so? Let's go to Isaiah 66. Let's go to Isaiah 66, because it's in here. It's in here. UFOs are in the scriptures. You don't think it is, I mean, because the Spirit of the Lord ain't dealing with you. 66, verse 15. And it says, for behold, the Lord will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind to render his anger and fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. The Lord says he's going to come with fire, with the whirlwind. And this is talking about judgment and destruction, but it says in chariots like a whirlwind. Chariots, UFOs. You don't think so? Let's go to Ezekiel. Well, man, that's just what that was. Yeah, that was Isaiah. Let's go to Ezekiel real quick. Chapter 1. Another vision of the chariots, or UFOs. And this was by Ezekiel. Yeah. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Where we at? What is it? Ezekiel chapter 1. Come on now. I'm gonna start at verse 4. I'm gonna read verse 4. It says, and this is, and by the way, this was a vision that Ezekiel was having. It was a vision. His prophecy, what he see, his vision of the 4 cherubims, 4 UFOs, 4 chariots. But I'm gonna read verse 4. Verse 3. The word of the Lord Yahweh came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kibar. And the hand of the Lord Yahweh was upon him there, vision. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness round about it, out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber out of the midst of the fire. For behold, the Lord Yahweh will come with fire and with chariots like a whirlwind, rendering his anger with fury and his rebukes with flame of fire. Now, this is talking about the Lord coming in judgment. What the Lord saw here, what Ezekiel saw was a vision. He saw the 4 cherubim, the 4 chariots, and they all had different duties, and they was all moving in sync with each other. That V formation. This is what Ezekiel saw. He saw what he says when he looked and came out of the north, a great cloud, chariot, UFO, and a fire enfolding itself, glowing with power. Every time you've seen a chariot, what happened? You've seen it glowing. Every time I've seen one, especially at night, glowing and it has that amber yellowish color. It'd be real far up or real high up. What did Ezekiel saw? He saw UFOs. He saw chariots. That's what he saw. Let's continue. You don't think so? Let's go to second Esdras. And we already know what second Esdras chapter 13 talking about when the Lord show up. I ain't gonna read everything, but I'm gonna read a few. Let's see. Just to prove that UFOs are in the Bible, all through the Bible. This is the Apocrypha. We done got plenty of them in the Old Testament. Well, let's go to the Apocrypha now. Second Esdras chapter 13. And I'm gonna just start at the top. This is, and it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night. Again, now this is Esdras having a vision. And it says, and lo, there arose a whirlwind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. Now, what is it talking about? It's talking about the Lord coming from the heavens, not coming from the actual sea here on earth, but from the heavens, the waters up there. Shemayim, that means waters. And it says, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen unto him. So Esdras saw the Lord come back in a vision. And he came from the heavens. And he was waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, what it means, angels and other chariots, or UFOs, quote unquote, the quotey fingers. You can't see me doing it, but I'm doing the quotey fingers. And it was terrifying, basically. He was that powerful. That's why it says all the things trembled that were seen unto him. It was terrifying. The Lord came with a big old giant chariot, and again, and of course, it cast a shadow. And it says, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice. This is talking about the judgment, the right hand of thunderbolts now. But I'm still reading. My point is actually verse 6. But and all the judgment, because he gonna burn up them other nations over there when they fight in World War III. That's where he gonna come in and skadoosh everybody, with that fire. But it says, and whenever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it filleth the fire. It got consumed. It says, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heavens to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Now this is talking about the battle of Armageddon, when these nations are over there fighting over there in the battle of Jehoshaphat, over there in the east. Or should I say Western Asia, if I'm not mistaken, but over there in the east, because ain't no such thing as a Middle East. Why it ain't a Middle West or a Middle South or a Middle North? But it's a Middle East. Don't make no sense. But that last part is neither here nor there. But this is what happened. And these nations were fighting, and when the Lord showed up, they turned to try and fight him. And it says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. That's the Lord, his chariot, just that big. It was the size of a mountain, maybe bigger. And it says, and the Lord flew up upon it. So the Lord ain't coming to teach you how to do that high five jump. He ain't trying to teach. He coming to bring some pain, but bringing these out to prove that what UFOs, i.e., chariots, are in the scriptures. Last point. Let's go to Revelation. We went from the Old Testament to the Apocrypha to the New Testament, proving the point and proving the fact that what UFOs and i.e. chariots are in the Bible. They are there. They're explained as clouds. They're explained as at fire. They're explained metaphorically. Last point. You know what? Real quick, and then let's see if it's some other scriptures. I know it's some other scriptures. Where we at? What this is? Oh, that wisdom inside me. Let's go here. Here we go. Second, okay, we got Revelation chapter 12. verses 7 to 8. We got Second Maccabees, chapter 5, verse 1 through 3. You know what I'm saying? So boom. Those are some more scriptures on UFOs in the Bible, or chariots. But this is the last one I'm gonna use right here. Revelation 1 and 7. And I'm gonna end it. It says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, he cometh with UFOs, he cometh with chariots, and every eye shall see him, and they which also pierced, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, Amen." So when the Lord show up, people are gonna wail and gonna cry because they know they're gonna die because they have not been living right. But my point is, well, the point is, not my point, the point is the Lord cometh with clouds. He cometh with chariots, angels in chariots, UFOs. So it's in the Bible, it's there. Just if you don't have the Spirit of the Lord, you ain't gonna be able to figure this out or point none of this out, or even bring it out, even articulate correctly. But it's there. So that article, that's some foo-foo. UFOs is in the Bible. We call them chariots because that's what they're called in the Bible. They're not called UFOs. They're called chariots. And with that, shalom.